Damon Martin MMA fighting here with Vicente Luque. He returns to action in just a couple of weeks against Michael Chiesa in a key matchup in the welterweight division. Vicente, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm great. Having a great training camp and excited for the fight.
Absolutely. This is a great matchup. You know, we spoke after your last fight and your last win, a tremendous win, of course, over the former champ Tyron Woodley. And I know you told me at that point, you know, you wanted a big matchup and you were willing to wait for a big matchup. When you got the name Michael Chiesa, were you happy with that? Were you happy with the timing of this fight?
Yeah, I definitely was happy. I'm always aiming for the top of the division, and I wanted maybe, somebody even further up. I was aiming for Colby, but I know that Colby wanted that title fight, so he wasn't going to take another fight. And for me, it made a lot of sense to fight against Chiesa. He's a guy that is coming with 4 wins right now, and he beat a former champion in Rafael dos Anjos. So it was a fight that made a lot of sense to me in the sense that we're both climbing up the rankings. We're both looking to become champions. So it's that time, one of us is going to go through and is going to keep climbing the rankings, and the other one is, is going to have to, unfortunately, get a little bit better and wait for their turn.
Yeah, I know there was actually a mention, for a minute there, Kamaru Usman even mentioned maybe fighting Chiesa. I know that was kind of thrown out there. Maybe that was taking a jab at Colby, because we'll talk about Colby later. But I mean, in a way, like this is, I mean, you guys are on the best win streaks right now in the division outside of, I know Leon Edwards is on a good run, but obviously, Kamaru, but this is a big fight in the division, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that is a fight that is going to set a lot of things, set up who's going to go into that, top 3 eventually. I believe that one of us, whoever gets a dominant win, can reach to enter the top 3. And then we're talking about, possibly a title fight or maybe one more fight and then a title fight. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I do believe that this is a really big fight for both of us, and whoever gets the win is going to be closer to that title.
Absolutely. I'll get to Michael Chiesa in a minute, Vicente, but let me ask you your opinion. I mean, again, you're not fighting for the title yet. I know that is the end goal, but what do you? I've gotten a lot of opinions from other welterweights. The fact that Colby looks like he's going to get the next title shot. Now, listen, I know this is out of your control, but I've heard a lot of complaints saying, Colby's had 1 fight, since fighting Usman. Usman's had 3. It's kind of weird that he's getting another title shot. Now, again, you're fighting Chiesa, that's your focus, but how do you feel about it? Like, how do you feel about Colby getting another title shot right now?
I kind of agree. I think that Colby shouldn't get the title shot right now, because he needs more fights. I think that he should have at least 1 more fight before that, just to make sure that, he is getting better. He's improving after he lost to Kamaru. But I don't know. I think that is a fight that, on the other hand, many people think that the first fight was kind of close. Maybe Colby was beating Kamaru, and they want to see that rematch, and it's a fight that might sell a little bit more than the Leon Edwards fight. But I don't know. I would like to see Leon fight for that title. I think that he deserves it. 10-win streak right now. I mean, not many people in the division can do something like that. So I think that would make more sense looking at as a sport, sport-wise. I think that would make more sense. But Colby is an entertaining guy in a trashy way. I don't think he talks a lot of things that make sense, in my opinion, but he's kind of entertaining. People want to watch him, even if it's to see him, get beat. And I think that's what the UFC is going with. They think that's the fight that sells most. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Vicente, you're a guy, I know you've been training, at home down in Brazil and obviously haven't been up in America as much, but obviously you did train so much of your career with the Black Zillions and with that team down in Florida. Obviously, one of your best friends is Gilbert Burns, who's always in your corner. You're always in his corner. So I know you have training experience with Kamaru Usman. I know Usman's with a different camp now. I'm a believer that Usman might be the best welterweight in the history of the sport. Absolutely no offense whatsoever to George St. Pierre, but I think Usman is that good. I know that would be the goal, right? Like, to get a guy like Usman, because obviously he's been a dominant champion. But what is your opinion on Kamaru as a guy who's trained with him? Like, are you? I assume you've been very impressed by his run.
Yeah, for sure. And it didn't surprise me. I knew that he was a tough, competitor. I've learned a lot from him from the times that we spent together training. I lived 6 weeks with him when we were in the Ultimate Fighter 21. There, I could learn a lot of his work ethic and kind of take a lot of that for me, so that I could improve my game and just become a better fighter. So I'm definitely not surprised with his run. I do believe that he can be one of the best welterweights ever. I don't think he is. I think he is right behind, George St. Pierre. I still go with George St. Pierre for number one. Maybe, a couple more fights, if he beats more guys, that he will reach that level. But behind St. Pierre, I think Kamaru is the second, best welterweight ever. And, man, that just excites me more to fight him. I do believe that I have the skills and the mental aspects, to beat him. But I definitely think it's a tough fight. I do respect him a lot. And it's just, a fight that excites me because I'm a competitor. I love to compete. I like to fight against the best. And I believe that Kamaru is the best right now.
Yeah. Now, I know, this subject's been brought up to you before, Vicente, and I know the answer. You will never fight Gilbert Burns. He is your brother. You guys are never going to fight. But you and Kamaru, I know you're not teammates now, you're not training partners now, but would it be a little weird to fight him just considering the relationship you had? Because I know I spoke to Gilbert, before he fought Kamaru, and, obviously both of them, there was no bad blood, no ill will, but you're still fighting, you're still trying to, one guy's got to live his dream. The other guy's got to go home with a loss. There's no way that can't be a little weird, even as good of friends as you might have been. I know you aren't as close to Kamaru as you are Gilbert, but would it be weird to fight Kamaru knowing how well you know him and how much time you guys spent together?
Yeah, I mean, there would be some, weird feeling. I think that's just part of it. It's normal, just like with Gilbert and Kamaru. It was a little bit weird for both, but even though that, it was weird, they got over it and they put a hell of a fight, So I think that as an athlete and as somebody that, as a fighter, we know how to put these things aside and go out there and do business, do what we got to do. And that's fight. At the end of the day, we're trying to finish each other and get that win. And I don't think that changes. So, yeah, it's going to be weird, maybe the build up for the fight. But once it's fight time, we just put everything aside and go out there and try to take each other's heads off and get the job done.
Yeah. Even though you're a guy known for, fight of the night, performance of the night, you are officially in one of the categories, the NMF. You share that with Wonder Boy, the nicest guy. So it's going to be hard. Like, I don't see you being the guy who's going to suddenly start trash talking Kamaru Usman just because you're fighting him.
No, for sure not, man. I got a lot of respect for Kamaru. I got a lot of respect for everyone. That's the truth. I mean, I think that MMA fighters are one of the toughest guys in the world. So I know that everybody that steps in the octagon, they put a lot of work and they sacrifice a lot to be in there. So there's no way I can't disrespect people, Definitely there are guys that I don't like their attitude. I don't like how they choose to live their lives, but I respect them as human beings, as competitors, as fighters. So, all my respect to everybody. And with Kamaru, wouldn't be different. I mean, I do admire him as an athlete. I do admire him as a person. I know that he's an excellent father. I know that he is an excellent athlete. I've seen him working. I've seen his work ethic. So I admire that guy. I know that I take a lot from him and try to, learn from him. But that doesn't change the fact that once we step in there and are going to compete against each other, I'm out there to beat the best guy because I want to be the best. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about Michael Chiesa, because Michael, he's been on a great run, quietly, very much like yourself, super nice guy. I don't think he's ever said a bad word about you. I don't think he'd ever say a bad word about you. This is just about the competition. He's been on a great run, kudos to him. Obviously a very dominant win over Neil Magny in his last fight, a lot of takedowns, a lot of ground control. Obviously you're no stranger to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're no stranger to the submission game, but kind of give me your thoughts on Chiesa and what he's looked like as a welterweight, because I don't want obviously did good things at lightweight, but welterweight's a different animal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great choice for him to move to this division. He's a big guy, he's tall, he's strong. He looks, right now he looks like he has always been a welterweight. It doesn't look like he was a 155er and came up to welterweight. So I think this is the right division for him. He's been looking great, and his last fight showed a lot, because I think that before his last fight, watching a little bit of his first fights in the welterweight division, it looked like he could gas after 2 rounds. But on his last fight with Magny is a guy known for his cardio, and Chiesa hanged in there with him 5 rounds and dominant rounds, so he showed a lot of improvement. I like to watch a lot of tape on guys, that I'm going to fight, and I've done that with with Chiesa, and he's a tough guy, a tough competitor. Even though you look at him and yeah, he's a grappler. That's what he does. He's got good wrestling, good grappling, but I cannot, just relax on his striking. He has some tricky things stand-up wise, so I'm gonna watch for that. And overall, I think it's a pretty clear matchup. It's a striker versus grappler. I have, skill sets on the ground. I have dangerous things that I could do to him on the ground game, as he has some dangerous things that he could, do with me on striking. But overall, I'm a striker. He's a grappler. We're going to see who's going to impose their game better and get that win.
It's funny you say that because, so many of your, biggest wins, Vicente, have been submissions. You hurt guys on the feet. We just saw in your last fight. I mean, you went toe to toe with one of the biggest power punchers in the history of the division, and you hurt him on the feet and then you submitted him on the ground. Do you feel like that's a big advantage for you in this fight, is you're not afraid to go to the ground? I mean, obviously you love a knockout, you love to finish him on the feet, but you're not opposed to a grappling war. You've done that and you've got a lot of wins by submission.
Yeah, I mean, I've been grappling since I'm 16 years old. So, it's not something that I'm afraid of. It's something that I actually enjoy. I have fun grappling. If the fight goes over, it's just like I don't choose to go to the grappling because I love striking. I'm always going to try to knock people out. But whenever we get to the ground game, I'm comfortable in there. I like that also. And I have a lot of tools on the ground. So it's something that if the fight eventually ends up there, and I think that's what Chiesa is going to try to do. And he has a good, he takes down people really well. So eventually, yeah, I believe that he can take me down. Once we get there, I got a lot of things that I could do against him and put him in danger as well. So, yeah, I think it's a fight where I'm going to go out there to strike. I'm going to go out there to try to finish him on the stand-up. But if we go to the ground, it's going to be, a place that I'm going to be comfortable with. And I'm also going to be threatening him with many different things.
Yeah. Now on the ground, I feel like it's, more even fight. Obviously, Chiesa, we've seen he's wrestled guys, grappled guys, very dominant in his grappling since he's come to welterweight. On the feet, though, do you feel like that's a little bit more of a mismatch in terms of like your striking versus his striking? Again, I know you have absolute respect and you're not, going in there thinking you're just going to tear through him, but do you feel like that's a little bit more of a mismatch than, let's say, the ground game in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it stylistically, I think where I have the biggest advantage is on the stand-up. That's why I say it's a striking versus grappling match, because it wouldn't be intelligent for me to try to grapple him if that's one of his strengths. And when I see his full MMA game, I think his weakness is striking. Not saying like, oh, he has zero striking. No way. He has some dangerous hands. He can put, hands. He's a southpaw. That makes it also challenging. But overall, I think I have, enough striking to go out there and put real trouble for him and make that a hard situation for him, a hard night for him. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to take advantage of my striking and try to knock him out every single second of that fight and be aware of his grappling. I do believe that's going to be his number one objective in the fight. Put me down or maybe put me on defense and try to not let me strike. And I'm going to fight that off and keep on striking.
Absolutely. It's funny, Vicente, I did a radio show a little bit ago and somebody was asking me about, the upcoming pay-per-view. And we were breaking down, Cyril Gahn and Derek Lewis. We were talking about Amanda Nunes, of course, a legend. We were talking about all the fights. And I said, my favorite fight on the card, the fight of the night, the one I'm most looking forward to is Vicente Luque and Michael Chiesa, because every time you fight, I know I'm going to see something special. I know you told me in our last interview, you said, listen, even as I get to the top of the division, I'm not going to stop being who I am. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be the same guy. Do you take some appreciation in that even on a pay-per-view card where you're not the main event, guys like myself, this is my favorite fight. This is the fight I'm most looking forward to because I know when you fight, I'm going to get something fun.
Yeah, man, this is what I fight for. For me, it's recognizing my style, and I really appreciate that because no matter what, I know I got to get the win. I know I want to be champion. That's what I'm going to work my ass off until I become a champion. But more than that, I want to be entertaining. I want fans to love my fight. I want that every single time my fights are announced, people are not going to miss that fight. And I know that I'm building that. I'm building this style. I'm building a characteristic of being a great fighter and a fighter that always puts on exciting fights. And that's what I'm going to keep on doing, just because it's, as you said, it's the way I am. There's no other way that I know how to fight. If I see an opportunity, I'm going to go for it, be it submission, be it, on the striking game. I'm always going to take that opportunity. If it doesn't pay off at first, I'm going to keep on trying to finish the guy. And that's just my style, and fans enjoy it. So it's win-win. I get good wins and make exciting fights for the fans as well.
Absolutely. Now, Vicente, in no way, shape, or form do I want to seem like I'm looking past Michael Chiesa, because this is a tremendous fight. And as you said, the winner of this is going to be in a great position to, at worst, be one fight away from a title shot. And that might just be a timing thing, because obviously I don't think you'd want to sit out for a year, waiting. You probably, end up maybe fighting one more time. Obviously, there's a lot of names out there. Jorge Masvidal's out there. I know that's a fight you mentioned before you'd be interested in. Obviously, you're not going to fight Gilbert. And Wonder Boy's coming off a loss, although I'm sure you'd love a chance to avenge that loss as well. But another guy that's coming back in the division I want to ask you about, because you mentioned his brother's name before, Nick Diaz is coming back. One pay-per-view after he's fighting Robbie Lawler, obviously a guy you're familiar with. I don't know if you guys ever trained together down in Florida, but obviously trains down there at the same team you used to train at. Are you excited for Nick Diaz to come back? And is there a potential maybe you didn't get Nate, maybe you get Nick?
Man, I'm super excited for this fight. I have trained a lot with Robbie. Robbie's a great guy. And, I think it's a rematch that people have been waiting for years since that first fight, and has been so long ago. So see them both now. Both guys have great style, have that aggressive style. So I think it's going to be a great fight. And, man, Diaz, any of the Diaz, whenever they want to fight me, they can just call me, and if I'm the champion, it doesn't matter what kind of level I'm fighting at, I will be willing to fight them, because I got a lot of respect for their style. I admire their style. They just go in there and their game. They always are looking for that knockout, even putting their chin out at risk and risking themselves getting knocked out to get a knockout. And it kind of resembles what I try to do. I always want to put on good fights. So whenever any of the Diaz want to fight me, I'm in, I'm down. I'm always going to, whenever I can, I'm going to call them out, because I do want to fight them. And it's a possible matchup. But right now, as you said, focus on Chiesa. He's a tough opponent, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Absolutely. It's funny, a couple of years ago, when there were big names around, you would sometimes say, are you more interested in fighting for the title or fighting big names? Because there was kind of a separation there. It's the biggest names weren't necessarily the champions. Now it's kind of funny. Like, if you fight Masvidal, he's a big name, but he's also a top 5 guy. You fight Nick Diaz, I don't think anyone would discount that guy's a legend. There's big fights and there's title fights. So, and you got to imagine a win here puts you in a prime position for one of those, either a big fight or right there for the title fight, right? Like, again, I know you're not looking past Chiesa, but you got to imagine this is a key win for you here. You win here, you got to be one fight away from a title shot, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I believe will happen. And it has to be a big win. So I'm focusing on really going out there and having a dominant performance against Chiesa. Even though he's a tough guy, I do believe that I have the skills to go out there and really have a big win, and that's what I'm focusing on, training my ass off to be ready for that fight. And a big win, I think, will set me up for that, really close to that title fight. And, you were saying before, maybe if I weighed off, I could fight for that title. But that's something that I really don't like doing. I like to keep activity. I like to, just be fighting all the time. So, yeah, maybe a super fight in between would be something that would make sense. Fight one of these big names, Masvidal or Diaz, any of the Diaz. That would be, great for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Vicente, I truly mean it when I say, when I look at this card, and absolutely no offense to anybody else in the card, but this is the one I'm most excited about. Anytime you fight, I'm like, that's the guy I got to watch. That's the fight I got to watch. So thank you as always for taking the time. Obviously have a good rest of your camp. I know that everything's kind of wrapping up this week. So thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously safe travels out to the fight. Fans in attendance again, which is going to be awesome. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be really cool to see fans in attendance. And you're kind of like the fan-friendly fighter. When you fight, the fans are going to be on their feet.
Yeah, man. I've missed the fans, because every single time I'm there, I can just hear their energy during the fight, and that's a big motivator for me. Just hearing that the crowd cheering me on whenever I'm doing something, I'm throwing punches or even getting punched and people are cheering. I'm excited for that always. And to get them back now, to have that energy back is great. I'm really excited to be back, with the fans in the arena.
Absolutely. Well, Vicente, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck in the fight. Obviously, I'm excited. I can't wait to see you back in there, man. And thank you so much for taking the time. Let's catch up after the fight. All right.
For sure, man. After the fight, we talk again. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Man. Appreciate
Talk
it.
to you soon, buddy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.